Hi Virgo, Sun, Moon, Rising. I'm Christy Forsyth with Clarity by Christy. I am a soul therapist and an intuitive that connects with the angelic energy, and I help the helpers, the healers, and the light bringers of this world to live their most magical life. So if that's you, make sure you hit the subscribe button below with the bell so you can get notifications for all the videos that I'm sharing here on this channel. So today we are going to talk about your month of March 2021. What do you need to know? What messages do the angels have for you? And how can you best navigate this month? And the very first thing that stands out to me is the question of how do you identify yourself? Okay, I think you're going to be doing a lot of work this month on your identity and what you identify with and how you define yourself, because I think that there's a real need to take a look at that. I think there's a real need to be aware of the ways that you're labeling yourself, the ways that you are deciding who you are and what your life is, because I feel like if you start to explore this a little bit, that there's a real opportunity to release some labels that you didn't even necessarily recognize that you have, that you're holding yourself back with. You know, so I think that there will be opportunities for you to identify these labels, you know. So one that comes to mind for me is we can get caught up in that label of, or the identity of being a victim, right? And while we may have very much been a victim in many circumstances, this is really problematic when it becomes part of how you identify or how you define yourself, because and you might not even consciously be aware of it, right? It's important to kind of ask yourself, is this something that I'm doing? Because what this does, this victim-focused mentality, is it really keeps you stuck, because you are continually handing your power away outside of yourself, rather than understanding that all of the power comes from within. And so when you are focused on old stuff that has happened and having difficulty releasing that, setting yourself free from that, when you are so stuck in this way of identifying as a victim that you can't recognize where your power is or how you have power to set yourself free, you're going to keep yourself stuck, you know? So that's going to be really important. Where am I identifying maybe as a victim, and how is that keeping me stuck? How is that not serving me? Again, even if this isn't to minimize being a victim of certain things, but at a certain point, you've got to like take your power and you've got to move forward and understand like that situation, that way of thinking can remain in the past, and you can move forward empowered, you know? And I think that that's really, really important. And, another way of identifying, and these are just examples, right? So again, how are you identifying yourself in such a way that isn't serving you? So another word that came to mind for me is, are you a rescuer? You know, and this is something that I catch myself doing. So do you step in and save people and rescue people? And does that sometimes create a situation where, number one, you are completely draining yourself, but number two, where you are creating a situation where you're actually enabling something for someone else that doesn't really serve them either, you know? And if we swoop in and we rescue people every single time, then they aren't going to learn and they aren't going to grow. So where do you need to stop being that rescuer? Or, where do you need to stop identifying as a failure, as somebody who isn't successful, as someone who struggles? Where do you need to release something that you have been identifying with that is only manifesting more of that same energy? So you've got to shift that perspective. You've got to shift that way of seeing yourself, and that will help you to manifest even better for yourself in your life. The next part of what I feel called to say is, I think that it's really important, because I feel some frustration in terms of progress, some frustration in terms of like things maybe not happening the way that you want them to, or at the speed that you want them to. And I think what's really, really important here, what I keep hearing, is that it's important for you to come back to your why. Why are you doing this thing in the first place? And what is it really about? Because we can get so caught up in the things that don't really matter about it that we can forget what our why is. We can forget why we started it to begin with, what it was about, why does it mean something to you, why is it important to you? And that is the place that you want to be motivated from. That is the place that you want to be focused on. And if you can come back to your why and let that be your drive and let that be your focus, you are going to be creating success for yourself, because suddenly you are doing something from a place of purpose. And when we do things from a place of purpose, I see it all the time. This helps people to manifest. It helps people to create the kind of life that they can be excited about, because when you understand why you do something, you're coming from that place of like, this is what motivates me, you put a different signal out to the universe, and it's a more positive signal, and it's a more purposeful signal, and we really want to have that. I think that's really important, and I feel like if you can connect with your why and you can come from your place of why, this is where you're truly going to shine. And that's a word that I hear for you guys, is shine. You know, let yourself shine. It's like you've been boxing yourself in for a long time and telling yourself that you are these things, these labels that you have given yourself, and you are, you know, focusing on things that maybe are kind of off the path of what you really, what's really most important. And it's, I see this month as being an opportunity to open your eyes to that and explore that, and to come back to what's really important, and to come back to a better way of seeing yourself, a better way of seeing the world, and really trying to choose better thoughts, choose better perspectives, choose a better way of perceiving yourself, choose a better way of speaking to yourself. That's a really great way to intervene with that, is to start to recognize where you are speaking negatively to yourself, or even calling yourself names, and change that. Switch that. And it takes practice, it takes time, but it's important. And start to identify with things that are more in alignment with the vision that you have for yourself and the future that you want for yourself. You know, if you're so caught up in an identity of, and oftentimes these aren't things that we want to identify with, but we just do. If you're so caught up in this identity of I'm unsuccessful, then again, this is what you're going to continue with. But if you start to talk back to yourself and say, you know what, no, there are areas of my life that I have been successful, and I have had some success, and you start to talk back to that, and you start to use that affirmation of I am successful, I am, you know, doing amazing things in my life, I am living a purposeful life. Whatever it is that you need to hear, you need to affirm to yourself, right? And I feel like the affirmations are a really great way to do that. So we can repeat affirmations to ourselves and start to shift that unconscious mind. So those are some really great ones. But what do you want to believe? What is the vision that you want to have? And starting to buy into that a little bit and be open to the possibilities of that. I think that there is a need for more openness. It's to be open to the idea that you can be successful, to be open to the idea that life can be good, that there can be really good things that can happen to you, to be open to new ideas and new perspectives that maybe feel better and are more positive. I also feel this energy with you guys a little bit of like for some of you, and this isn't true for all of you, but for some of you, like there's a physical healing that's needing to happen, you know, and maybe you've been ignoring your physical body for quite some time. And, you know, this isn't, I'm not saying that we're diagnosing anything major here, but what I'm saying is, where does your physical body need attention? You know, is it requiring more exercise, or have you not been listening to an ache or a pain that you've been having? Have you been so caught up in, your head, that you're not listening to your body? Where do you need to pay attention to your body? Because I think there's opportunities for healing and guidance for what that healing process looks like. How are you managing stress, and where do you need to improve upon that? And paying attention to what's coming through for you intuitively, because I think you're going to get a lot of guidance as to what it is that your physical body is needing, that you are needing on an emotional level, all of it. So pay attention to what's coming through. And I think coming back to your values, you know, again, like I said, coming back to your why, but I think this is also about coming back to your values, because I do feel like there are some ways in which that might be tested this month. I feel like maybe somebody is pushing you to make a decision that is out of alignment with what feels best and right for you. And this isn't for all of you, but for some of you, I think you'll have this situation, and it's like pushing against that, and you know that it's not the right decision for you, and you know that it's not in alignment with your vision or your values or what feels best and right to you. And this is your message to listen to that, to honor that. And I'm not saying that that won't create conflict, but what I'm saying is that that's a way to honor yourself. And I'm saying that that in the end is going to feel best and right for you, and in the end is going to lead to success for you. So don't do something, you know, like that's guided by feeling pressured into something, or that comes from a place of fear that you're going to regret, that isn't in alignment with what you know is the right thing to do. So making sure that you're honoring that. And when I was meditating on this, I had like the 8 of Pentacles come up, right? And the 8 of Pentacles for me is about creating something that leads to better things. And so sometimes that's money, sometimes that's security, sometimes that's just creating better things in your life. But it's a process, right? And it's a process that you are working on, and it's a process that takes time, and you have to keep coming back to it. This is very much a message of not giving up on whatever it is that you've been creating, whatever it is that you've been working on. It's just a process. It's a journey. And, you know, sometimes things happen overnight, and there are miracles that like all of a sudden there's some significant and major progress. And I do feel like that's coming for you, but I don't think that that's this month. You know, I think it's like slow and steady, but keep staying slow and steady. Keep going, keep moving. Don't let it shut you down. Don't let it stop you from working toward your goals, or from working toward whatever it is that you're creating, or whatever it is that you're doing, building, whatever, because this is going to require some patience. And maybe you've been patient for a long time. You've been building it for a long time, but also recognize the progress that has already been made. Also recognize that, you know, there has been some growth, there has been some development, and it might not be where you want it to be, but there has been growth. And so continue to be patient and continue to trust the journey, trust the process, because after that, in my mind, I saw the Queen of Wands, right? And the Queen of Wands is very much being successful at that thing that you're working on. Being able to sit on your throne and saying, look at what I created. Look at what I did. Look at what I built. Look at how successful I was. And by the way, I don't think you'd be as proud of yourself if there wasn't some struggle, if there wasn't a journey, if there wasn't a difficulty, right? If it was easy, I don't think it would be as exciting. I don't think it would, you know, like, it's not the point. And so there's a journey and there's a process, and you have to trust that. And eventually you're working toward this Queen of Wands, and you sitting on your throne knowing that you've been successful, knowing that you did the things and then some that you set out to do. And so you have to trust it, and you have to just keep going, right? You have to keep going, but also keep going and finding balance, right? Because I do feel like balance is important for you. So making sure that you're also taking that time away to balance. This isn't about like grinding hard because I'm saying keep going. This is about sometimes grinding, sometimes putting in the work, but also balancing that out with what it is that you need. And if, you know, we have, no planets in retrograde until April 27th. Okay, so this is a great time to create a momentum. This is a great time to take action, to be doing all the things that we need to be doing in the direction of our goals. But it also is a time to be doing all the things that we need to be doing to take care of ourselves, to balance ourselves. That's really going to be important here in this month for you guys as well. So those are your messages. I think if you can allow it, I think some really great things are coming in, you know, but like you have to have an open heart and you have to be open to the possibilities, open to amazing things coming in, because it's a little bit of that energy of, I want all of these things, but I'm also closed to it. I'm closed in some way to receiving it. And so thinking about how you can be more open and more excited, and just holding that excited energy of all of these amazing things that are going to come your way. So those are your messages for the month of March 2021. If you guys like this video, make sure you hit that like button below. I always love to hear from you in comments. And if you want to learn more about me or about Clarity by Christy, you can check me out at discoveryyourawakening.com. I will see you guys soon with another video. Take care.